the spark of the world.
This is beautiful.
I'll meet you across.
This feels too easy. Odin knows we have yellow on. He knows you have the mask. After killing Brock, he knows we would seek Surtur to start this war.
But what other choice do we have?
None. He knows that too.
Odin survived Ragnarok, and Atreus is the reason why he survived Ragnarok. In order to understand this theory, you're gonna have to think about it from the perspective where Odin has allowed the events of the game to happen in order to make sure the characters do the things necessary to make him survive Ragnarok. So the first reason why, and the most obvious reason why Odin has survived Ragnarok is this interaction between Atreus and Hugin.
Huh, Hugin made it out. Good for him.
Now look what happens to Hugin and Munin when they go to Odin.
You know who I am?
Now, based on what I said earlier in that clip, I believe because they are one being, if Hugin has survived Ragnarok, that means Odin has survived Ragnarok. But let me prove to y'all why Hugin and Odin are actually the same person. Now, the first reason why I believe Odin and Hugin are the same being is because they both share the same eye color. Throughout the game, we see a dwarf that has the same eye color as Odin, and the devs confirmed this dwarf to be Odin himself. So, if the devs have confirmed this dwarf to be Odin, and this dwarf has the same eye color as Odin, I don't think it would be too far of a stretch to say that the reason why Hugin shares the same eye color as Odin is because Hugin is also Odin. If that is the case, it explains why Atreus cannot read the thoughts of Hugin. Hugin is actually Odin, and because Odin is Hugin, Atreus cannot read the memories or thoughts of Hugin because he is not actually an animal, he is actually Odin. Now let me explain how Odin actually had Atreus save him in Ragnarok. Watch this cutscene and pay attention to what Odin says to his raven and Atreus.
But that's the truth.
The writing on here talks about a cold breath. Breath. Wind. It's gotta be Helheim.
Helheim, you say? I'll take it. And I know just the person to accompany you.
Now, after that cutscene, we know that Atreus and Thrud, they go to Helheim and they free Garm, right? But we see how in the beginning of God of War 2018, and I believe multiple times throughout the game, Odin has ravens that watch over what the player is doing here and there, right? So if that is the case, why is it that Odin did not prevent Atreus from freeing Garm and then says it's a bad decision? But there's a catch to this. You see, the catch is Odin actually wanted Atreus to free Garm, and he knew Atreus would free Garm because of his love to animals. You see, I showed the ravens in the earlier clip to show how Odin is watching us throughout the game. And the reason why Odin is watching us throughout the game is because he wants to learn more about Kratos and Atreus. And because Odin is learning about Kratos and Atreus, he knows that Atreus is the type of person who would actually free an animal because he cares about animals. So of course, when he goes to Helheim, Odin already knows he's gonna want to free Garm. That is the reason why when we go to Helheim, the mask glows. The mask is glowing because Atreus is following his goal to free Garm, not because of the mask piece. That is the reason why when we free Garm, after he is freed, the mask stops glowing, because the mask no longer has a goal for Atreus to follow. Atreus has achieved his goal, and because he has achieved his goal, there is no other goal to follow. And because there is no other goal to follow, the mask does not have a reason to glow anymore. So here's where I'm going with this, right? In this cutscene, we're watching Kratos and Atreus. They're fighting in Ragnarok, and then they head down the dragon or whatever. And afterwards, Angrboda, she comes with Fenrir, and while they're fighting with Fenrir, Gná, she comes up and they make a hell tear out of Asgard to get out of Asgard, right? Now after that fight occurs, when the game ends, we see Gná in Muspelheim. Now we're going off what I'm saying. I believe that Gná is in Muspelheim because the hell tear that Fenrir made in Asgard went to Muspelheim. And then Hugin, he got out of Asgard because another hell tear that Fenrir made actually led out of Asgard to Midgard. That is the reason why Hugin is alive at the end of the game. He took one of the hell tears that Atreus made with Fenrir and got out of Asgard with it. That is the reason why Odin allowed Atreus to free Garm. He knew that Garm would be the way out of Asgard for him, and because Hugin made it out and not Odin himself, no one would actually suspect Odin to be alive because they all think that Hugin is just his own being. But in reality, Odin knew that as Hugin, he would use this hell tear to get out of Asgard. Now, if there's one counter argument I know I'm bound to hear, it's probably why Odin didn't free Garm himself. I believe the reason why he didn't do it himself is because Odin knows that if he did it himself, it would be way too suspicious. So he made Atreus unintentionally make his exit out of Asgard, so nobody would suspect that the real reason why Garm was freed was to make an exit out of Helheim for Hugin. One last thing before I actually end the video. When Atreus went back to Asgard and he tells Odin that he mistranslated the mask, Odin actually seems a lot more redeeming about what Atreus is doing. But while I was watching that cutscene, it really came to my mind that, if Odin had actually cared about Garm, like he was actually afraid of Garm, he would have asked Atreus, hey, do you think that cold breath is in Niflheim? Do you think it's in a different realm? Are you really sure it's in Helheim? So, just because Odin just didn't even ask about why the cold breath had to be at Helheim, it kind of just tells me that Odin wanted Atreus to go to Helheim. That is the reason why he didn't actually question if that cold breath was actually in Helheim or Niflheim. He wanted Atreus to go to Helheim and free Garm there, so that way Hugin has a way out of Asgard when Ragnarok is over.
So, I figured out what went wrong. I mistranslated a word here.
Did you now?
I thought it said beyond the cry of cold breath, but it actually reads the cry of first breath.
Well, that's somewhere else entirely. I know where that is. Young man, you've done it again. Go. Take the mask, take the sword, take the bird. Find Thor. We're going to Niflheim.
Missed you too.